Okay, so somebody who's been viewing my videos made a request for Atossa Therapeutics, stock symbol ATOS, and they were asking specifically about a possible gamma squeeze on this stock. So we will take a look to see what's going on and see if there is a possibility for a stock squeeze, or a gamma squeeze to be more exact. So we will be looking at Atossa. Their chart did show quite a lot of growth from May. We saw a big bump in the middle of June, a little pullback, and then another spike towards the end of June, and then it has been pulling back again. So for those who don't know, Atossa Therapeutics is a pharmaceutical company, and they are currently working on COVID-19 treatment. People are saying it has potential. I believe it has been approved for testing in Australia for the time being, but that is for clinical stage trials, so still a long ways to go. And 3 weeks ago, Atossa was approved to be included in the Russell 2000 and 3000 indexes. So if we look at this article, this was June 16th, and that would explain probably the mid-June push right here. The inclusion into Russell is a big deal for a lot of stocks, especially if it's their first time, mainly because they will be added to the index, which would mean that they would be added to a lot of ETFs, which would increase purchases so those ETFs can be balanced. Now, concerning this news, just from a news catalyst point of view, I believe the two catalysts have been kind of sprung. The Russell inclusion, when they are actually added to the index, I don't think that has happened yet. That will probably be another catalyst because that is when the ETFs will purchase their stock. But again, the question is going to be on a gamma squeeze. Somebody did kind of point me to Atossa about a week or two ago with the potential of a gamma squeeze, and there is potential, but how far it will go is kind of a question that will be popping up. So current price or closing price as of Friday the 9th. Today is July the 11th. So Sunday, so markets are closed, but we'll look at the current options chain. This is for the one ending this Friday, so July 16th, and it is fairly heavy. We see a lot of open interest starting from the 250 mark, and that climbs up to 5, which is all in the money, and then we see even more pushing up from 550 all the way to 14, and then we see a drop off 16. This is the most expensive option, so people will buy this just because it's cheap. We're talking about $5 to $10 for a contract, so fairly cheap to buy one of these. Strangely, the $15 contract is actually, the last price was actually cheaper. So we will look at this and say, yes, there is definitely potential for a gamma squeeze if price can remain either at the above $5 or higher. I would definitely say higher is better for this. The big numbers here are at 750, 60,000 contracts, and at $9 is another 58, almost 59,000 contracts. These are roughly going for about $25 to $15 per contract. The 750 seems to be breaking at 25 and the $9 at 15. So the problem with this is that there is only a week left, and we will look at the delta to see how things are being currently hedged. So looking at the delta for everything under $5, this means that these shares are probably already purchased and being held. So we have 64 shares at the 5, 77 at the 450, and so forth, and we are going up to 99 at 50 cents. So these are already done, and what is actually going to happen is that as theta, as the deadline draws near, these might increase slightly. The downside is that as time passes and we get closer to the expiration date of Friday, these will start to decrease, and these far outweigh these increases. So at 550, we have 50 shares, 639, and so forth. Honestly, the from about $10 onwards, I would say these are pretty negligible. We have 10 shares at the $10, so 17,000. This is going to be about 100,000, or sorry, 170,000 shares that will no longer be needed, and so forth. So we are going to see a sell-off of some of these shares daily from Monday onwards, because they will need to be less likely hedged. We are not going to really see a big purchase from these. So chances are the price is actually going to start falling on Monday. We might see a boost on Tuesday like we usually do, which is the second day of the cycle. Falling prices on Monday will usually encourage people to buy on Tuesday. And we might see a slight boost on Tuesday and Wednesday, but then these contracts will slowly start eroding, and we will see a fall starting Thursday and Friday. Now, what makes me a little bit less confident about Atossa is the absolute lack of contracts of open interest on future dates. So 23rd, this is another weekly. Really, the highest is 316. The 30th, another weekly. Highest open interest is 49. We have the 6th, highest open interest is 19. And we have the 13th, 20, and the next monthly is the 20th. We do see a little bit more open interest here, but again, nothing amazing. The highest one is currently at 13,669. So unless we see a big boost in contracts purchased for later dates, I would say August 20th onwards, we are not going to be seeing any type of squeeze going on. I am going to say that most of these contracts were probably purchased during the previous boost right here. We see a ton of volume, 91 million on the highest, 53 on the day before. We saw 22 before, 76. So I'm thinking these weeks were probably when a lot of those contracts were purchased, or sorry, these days. I believe there was another big purchase on the 7th. We see a volume of 62 million. So because of this, really the big problem is going to be what is going to be the catalyst that boosts it past the 550 mark. 550, we have 21,000. So if we do see a boost up to 550, we are going to see quite a bit of purchasing required to keep this delta neutral. But for the time being, I don't really know what that catalyst will be. It could just be a mass of retail buyers deciding to buy contracts for this. But I would say because the future options chains are so weak, that is not going to be attractive for a lot of buyers. For example, like I said, August 20th, if people buy here for this date, yes, it is going to push the delta up, and it is going to force market makers to buy shares. But let's say someone buys for $5 or $7 or $8 or $9 or $10. The big problem is going to be if they buy these, it's going to be difficult to keep a $10 strike price even if it hits it this week. It's going to be difficult to hold that price for another month. Same thing goes if we go, it goes to the quarterlies from here. Again, we do see some open interest, but this is at the $3 mark. And sorry about that, slight technical difficulty with my mic, but like I said, come October, there really isn't anything that is pushing this price. And again, at the $10 mark, or even above 6, it's going to be difficult for people to buy and hold this. We can go on to 2022 and the year 2023, and again, we don't have too much going on. Atossa is a company that people do have kind of high hopes for, especially with the COVID treatment coming out. I am thinking though that is a late play. It's a little bit too late because of the vaccine rollout, especially here in the US. and Western Europe and other developed countries where, um, here in the U.S., any adult can has readily available access to the vaccine for free. The same applies for countries such as Israel. I know Europe has a big rollout. I know rollout in Asia has been a little bit slower, and for developing countries, it is even slower than that. But for once people are vaccinated, or once the population is largely vaccinated, the amount of infections of COVID-19 and also the uh, danger of serious complications goes down significantly. So treatment becomes less, um, I wouldn't say it's less important, but the demand for treatment will also drop significantly. And I don't know how much that treatment will cost. I don't know when that will be approved. Again, it's going into clinical trials in Australia. But if it is mainly going to be the developing nations that are not doing successful vaccine rollouts, then they are the ones who are going to need this treatment more. And usually, I would say the vaccine is cheaper than the treatment. So if they can't afford the vaccine to vaccinate their people, can they afford the treatment um, for the symptoms and the complications that arise from COVID-19? So if that news and that treatment came out a year ago in 2020, like July of 2020, long before the vaccines had started the rollouts and they were still in testing phases, I think that would be a huge boost. But currently, um, I don't know if that is going to be as impactful as people think it is or want it to be. My kind of comparison would be like, how useful or how important is the cure to cancer if we can prevent cancer to start with? Or if we can prevent car accidents, do we need a better way to fix cars? So because of that, I think that Atossa is, while they're working on something great, and while this can probably be used for other COVID-related diseases, for COVID-19, which is the big news topic, I don't see it as impactful as some people believe. All right, so that is going to be my look at Atossa Therapeutics. I do think that from everything I've seen, they do have a fairly bright future moving ahead. Um, but I am not quite sure if this is going to be kind of the barn burner that people want it to be, especially this week, especially with the way the options chain is currently lined up. I actually think that there will be a better chance um, that this price might actually fall within the next few days. One of the nice things about this stock is that the free float is so low and the shares outstanding is so low that any big purchase of options contracts, especially if we're talking about a month or more out, um, it can quickly swing this the other way. But unless that happens, I would say that things are going to be difficult for a lot of people who already own those contracts. All right, thanks guys, and remember, this is not financial advice. This is just my own opinion and thoughts based on the data presented. Have a good one.